Hi, this is Kathy Weymouth from Tune the Temple, and this is video 4 of our series, Personal Growth Strategy. And I want to share something I learned from Gretchen Rubin, who's an author from New York City. I think this is really going to help you embrace strategies that work specifically for your personality. Now, last video, I asked the question, how do you handle expectations? And the reason I asked that is Gretchen did some research when she was going to write a book about embracing habits. It's called Better Than Before. And she started noticing patterns that were kind of familiar between people. And she then noticed that really the core question to ask when you want to embrace a habit is, how do you handle expectations? Because if you're going to put something on yourself, I want to embrace a new habit, I want to grow in this area, you're putting expectations on yourself. So how do you handle expectations? And she found that people tended to fall into one of 4 categories that she was noticing. So she's titled this whole idea, The 4 Tendencies. I want to explain them very quickly, very briefly. I want to show you her website, because if you find out what tendency you are and what strategies work for that tendency, you're going to have way more success. So let's ditch the things that don't work for your tendency and let's embrace the things that do. Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen and get you over to Gretchen Rubin. Okay, so here's Gretchen Rubin's website, gretchenrubin.com, R-U-B-I-N, okay? And you can see her here in this picture. I just want to scroll down on her front page, homepage we get down to where it says the 4 tendencies. This is what we're going to be looking at. She's actually written a book specifically about the 4 tendencies. She must have taken her information from her habits book. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about, but I want you to go to her website and I want you to find this word explore on the menu at the top, and I want you to then hover over menu and go down to getting started and click on the 4 tendencies. This is where we're going to get to her quiz that she has and her information. Okay, so let's click. So you went to explore, then you're going to go to the 4 tendencies. Okay, now she's named the 4 tendencies according to these little files here: upholder, rebel, questioner, and obliger. And I'm going to talk about each one really quickly. Okay, understanding the 4 tendencies. So here's Gretchen's web page about the 4 tendencies. We all face 2 kinds of expectations: outer, like work deadlines, answering a request from a friend, somebody's giving you an expectation, and inner expectations, those you put on yourself, which are the ones that we've been doing for this course, right? For this mini course or this video series. Your response to expectations determines whether your tendency and whether you fit, which category that you fit into. So I want to just talk about each one real quick. So upholders respond readily to all expectations, outer and inner, and they say discipline is my freedom. So I just basically want to kind of give you a paraphrase of her work. Upholders like expectations. They want to know what's expected. They don't want to disappoint anyone. They like structure. Discipline is their freedom. Okay. They like their to-do lists. And let's see, they're pretty much self-directed self-starters. Okay, so grab a piece of paper and write down which one of these do you think fits you. Okay, so do you think you're an upholder? All right, write that down. If you're fine with expectations and you usually meet them. You can set goals and it's fine. It's not a struggle for you. Okay, secondly, questioners question all expectations, and they meet expectations only if those expectations make sense to them. They have to be valid. They have to be of value. And questioners tend to do a lot of research because they're questioning everything. Okay, so this is me. I research and research, so they can get caught in over research, but they will not have a problem with expectations they put on themselves because they choose ones that are valid and make sense and fit their life. Okay, and then let's see. If I'll comply if you convince me why is what Gretchen wrote here. Now, obligers, if you think you're a questioner, write that down. Obligers meet outer expectations, but they really struggle meeting inner ones. So they do fine if you ask something of an obliger, but they don't do great at all with setting goals for themselves. It just doesn't work for them. So they meet outer expectations, but they don't do well meeting inner expectations. You can count on me, and I'm counting on you to count on me. Okay. And then rebels are tough because they resist all expectations. They don't want any control. They like lawlessness. They're not really great about wanting to follow authority. And the problem with rebels, the hard part is that they resist all control, including self-control. So they don't like to meet any expectations. All right. So on this page, which is gretchenrubin.com/tendencies, I want you to scroll down. I actually want you to take this quiz, Discover Your Tendency quiz. So let me click here. This is a free quiz, and I'll show you the page that it brings you to. She has very specific instructions. Just choose the answer that is most generally true of you. Okay. So she has questions with 4 answer possibilities. Have you kept a New Year's resolution where you weren't accountable to anyone? And you have 4 options. Sure, I'm good at it. And continue. I'm not going to read it because we're going to run out of time. Okay, so when you take this quiz, you will then find out which tendency fits you. So now let me go to another thing that I want to do, which is I want to give you very quickly basic suggestions for making your journey more successful based on which tendency you are. So jot down these these suggestions. You can pause the video if you need to. Okay, so let's start with upholders. And I'm going to go to another article that I found. This article, GretchenRubin.com /articles, use the 4 tendencies to tackle your New Year's resolution. I'll put a link below the video. Okay, so I want to just talk about upholders. Let's just read the very first sentence. Upholders often make and keep New Year's resolutions. Upholders are great at this sort of thing. You don't even need any strategies. Just make sure you know your expectations, and like you might even want to make to-do lists and write everything down. You'll be fine creating and journeying and establishing a new goal. Upholders are a small part of the population, but they really excel at this. So you don't really need a lot of suggestions. Let's go to questioners next. If you tend to question everything and you only do things that seem valid or true or right or authentic to you, then here's a suggestion. I'm going to go to the second paragraph. If questioners struggle, it's usually because they're not convinced that this resolution is the best, most efficient way for them to meet their aim, or they don't trust the judgment of the person encouraging them to make a change. To do a better job of keeping a resolution, they should do the research, get clarity on why they're pursuing a certain aim in a certain way, and reassure themselves that this approach makes the most sense. So you've just got to do your research, find out what approach makes sense, make sure it fits your life, that it works for you, that this fits your life purpose, this fits your strategies, and you'll be fine pursuing your outcome, your transformation. So that's questioners. Okay, next. Let's go to obligers. Obligers, remember, don't meet inner expectations. So Gretchen's basic solution, create outer accountability. Like sign up for a class, join the gym, get a trainer, hire a coach, recruit a friend to do your growth strategy with you. You need expectations coming from someone else besides yourself because you won't be able to meet them on your own, generally, if you are an obliger. Another suggestion that Gretchen has is become a role model for someone, because then when you become a role model, you will then feel this accountability that you need to be accountable to these people. So then there's this outer accountability coming at you. Okay, so that's really good suggestion. I know someone who is great with taking art classes, but can't manage to actually paint on their own time. They need the class to stay disciplined, and it works fantastic. Okay. Last one, rebels. You need to do your resolution in some kind of a challenging, daring way. Like if someone says, my family thinks I can't give up sugar for a year, well, watch me. Okay. So if you could find a way to make your growth a challenge, a dare, something that's like rebellious in nature, then you're going to be more successful. You need a rebellious approach to your journey. Okay, so here are my 5 questions, reflective and action questions that I have, as I always do at the end of the video. So jot these down real quick. Number 1, which of the 4 tendencies describes you? Okay, so take the quiz. I think that'll really help you. What do you get for a result on the quiz? Number 2, reflect on how this tendency validates you and how you are wired. Like, think of the positives, not the negatives. Contemplate and appreciate the good qualities of being that tendency. Okay, number 2. Number 3, what strategies do you need to embrace that I just gave you that work for your tendency and will help you be more successful? What strategies work for your tendency and can you embrace them? That's number 3. Number 4, what strategies have you been working on this journey that you've been applying that you really need to ditch? They're not going to work for you. Like, if you're an obliger and you're trying to do this growth all on your own, you got to ditch that and you've got to get some outside of accountability. That's an example. Okay. What do you need to ditch? And then number 5, I want you to just reflect again on your destination, where you are heading, your final outcome. What is your goal, your dream, your transformation that you're wanting to pursue? And continue on your action steps. Just keep going. Remember, it's week by week. I'm encouraging you to just keep going and do your best at being consistent. Okay, so this is Kathy Weymouth from tunethetemple.com. Thanks for joining me. This is video 4 of our series, Personal Growth Strategy.